Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
Everything's open now. Everything's open now. Everyone can be whatever they want and say just do it. Just whatever it is.
I'm just like, I scroll Instagram, I scroll YouTube, and the word coach, okay, has been used at nauseum, right? But we have a gentleman backstage who's a coach himself, and I think he's gonna come up here swinging for the coaches. We will see. We will see. Okay, so right. And by the way, anyone can cam up, rebut, retort, contradict, but we need your face. I do not do avatars here. I can't stress it enough. Sometimes you guys are backstage hiding behind an avatar. This is the block. You got to say it with your face. Okay. I appreciate that you want to partake and contribute, but we do that with our faces here, and faces make for better conversation where I'm from. Okay. Say it with your face. I need to see your face. Appreciate you, but maybe your place is in the chat, not on the panel. And that is okay. So let me bring up some gentlemen so we can get into this right away. George Cook, how are you, darling?
George.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Unmute.
Okay. Here we go.
There you go.
Hello, ladies. You all look really great tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some things to say about this.
Oh, well,
I've been hanging out in the chat, so I'm going to drop in for about 30 minutes if that's okay with you, Jen.
That's perfectly okay. We missed you the last few streams, so welcome back.
I wish I was on there last night. Boy, I was coming up with
wasn't it good?
I was like, man, I need to say something here. I need to say something there. All that. It was really good.
See what happens? See what happens? This is the place to be. And I got a couple of DMs like that. People were like, I wish I was there last night. You got to be here. You got to be here.
I got those too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody was like, that show was fire last night.
Yeah, let's bring up the Hudsman. How are you, Huds? Good to see you.
I'm doing, can you hear me all right?
Yep, we could hear you great.
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. And thank you so much for having me again. This is my bread and butter.
Ooh.
Thanks for coming through tonight.
Absolutely. I'm a dating coach myself, so I've worked with many, many people. And yeah, what qualifies you? That's fantastic. Great topic.
Okay. So you don't mind being in the hot seat? Because we're going to be asking some questions, Huds.
No, you go for it. You go ahead and roast me however you deem fit.
We love it. It's a sport.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So tonight's topic, our internet coaches coaching you to a dead end, right? Our internet coaches qualified to coach you. Again, I scroll like we all scroll. The word coach is used ad nauseum. Everybody's a coach, from financial coaches to relationship coaches to dating coaches to people coaching you how to be single, to people coaching you how to cook, to people coaching you how to wear your pants and your hair. Like, I mean, it's the internet is overflowing with coaches. Now, here's what I see. I see a lot of negativity. I see a lot of toxicity. I see a lot of people who are single and miserable coaching a large number of other people. Okay. So are they being coached to a dead end? And what qualifies, right? What was the prerequisite to, can I just throw up coach and coach people how to curse people out and call myself a coach because I'm good at it? Right? Because it's just my personal flavor. So Huds, you said that you are a coach. So you tell us what qualifies you.
So I think we need to start with the very beginning of defining what a coach is.
Please do.
A coach is somebody who has had the experience to be able to transfer that experience and that knowledge to somebody else. So if you are somebody online who is coaching other people on something, you need to have gone through experiences that allow you to transfer knowledge to a person. Now, one of the main things that I do with my guys is that if it is not a match and if I cannot relate enough to them, I will tell them we are not a match, and I can direct them to somebody else, but I will not mislead them.
Oh, so I'm just curious, what would make someone not a match for you? Because I would think since this is a business, right, and everyone's after the quote unquote bag, you'd take anybody, like good, bad, or indifferent. Hey, you're paying me. Let's coach you. Let's coach you up. So what qualifies like someone to be like, no, I'm not doing this with you.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think of one right now. I mean, there's been a couple in the past, but nothing's coming to mind immediately of somebody
Okay.
I wouldn't take on.
Hmm.
But typically, the people I won't take on are people because essentially, and this is why I think that the whole, um, taking anybody. I do a 30-minute free consult before I work with
Oh,
anybody.
okay.
And that's so I can make sure that I can actually help them. Because if
Hmm.
I can't, and they're bringing me a problem or a situation that's not going to get anywhere, we can't move forward. And then also working with somebody, we may go through 1, 2, 3 sessions and
Hmm.
nothing is changing. They're not listening to the advice. Things aren't moving forward. I
Hmm.
have to tell them, unfortunately, obviously I like the money, but
Hmm.
I have to tell them, unfortunately, we can't move forward because you're not doing the, quote unquote homework that I'm
Hmm.
asking you to do.
Hmm.
So I don't have an exact example off the top of my head,
Hmm.
but I think that's one of the big things to understand with online coaches. We are coaching from experience. We are
Hmm.
giving you knowledge. If
Hmm.
you resonate with us, go with it. If not, then step back.
So that sounds like a therapist, like with therapy. Like if you don't match with your therapist, people advise find another therapist. Is it something like that?
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you saying that because I've noticed that myself. Like I've gone to therapy in the past.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think everybody kind of has, and
Hmm.
I'm not scared to admit that. It's very important to find somebody that not only resonates with you, but can actually help your problem. There are so many people out there that may have the skills, but they
Hmm.
may not vibe with you in the right way to be able
Hmm.
to help you in exactly what you're looking for.
Hmm. Okay, so I have more questions, but I want to pass the mic. Lily, George, you got anything before I continue?
Uh-oh. Is that
Mm,
me?
what? Can
Yeah.
you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't know if that was me or you. I
Is
don't know
it
who
me?
was. I don't know who was stuck. Somebody was stuck.
We can hear you fine.
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
So what made you get into dating coaching and becoming a dating coach?
Trauma. I'll
Usually
be,
Mm.
that's how it works. Yeah, that's usually how
yeah,
it works.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be upfront with that one.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. All right. I understand that part. So was it working through your trauma and you felt like you found a way to work through your trauma and you can um pretty much package that up, bottle it up?
Let's say my trauma was so bad that you know I didn't want to do anything anymore. And I told myself when I very first began this, and this was back in 2020, so it's been 3 years now. I told myself if I could change one person's life and give them the life that they always wanted, then it would all be worth it. And then once I was able to do that, I wanted to do another. I wanted to do another. I wanted to do another. I kept building. And I saw my situation and what I went through, and I never wanted somebody to go through that again.
Okay. Is it too personal or can you speak to the trauma that motivated you to want to help other people?
So I'll keep it light, but
Okay.
essentially, kind of false situations, getting arrested, dealing with court. Obviously, the allegations didn't go forward
Mhm.
with much, but all that money in court, all that time spent, devoting yourself to a partner that was not the person you thought that they were,
Mhm.
and
Like a lot of us have experienced.
right, exactly. And so, like, going through all of that, and I moved out of my parents' house, you graduated college, everything, and then because of this,
Mhm.
and financially, I had to move back home with my parents. So here I am in my childhood bedroom, doing everything all again, feeling like I'm back in high school, and just all of the emotions and everything else that are tied to that. That's what really like spurred me to do this, because I'll be honest, I'm pretty decent with the ladies. It's not a big deal to me, but I mean, again, it's something that I had to learn over time. And so I wanted to teach that to others, because I want them to know the red flags. I want them to know the green flags, and I want them to be successful out there to find a partner that they can have a successful, happy, healthy, long-term relationship.
What's
Go ahead, Lee.
I was going to ask, what's some red flags that you kind of advise people to stay away from?
Oh, this huge one. Definitely marriage coach or dating coach. That's I'm going to get to that in a second. So essentially, one of the big red flags is how often they're kind of like on your case and communicating with you. You don't want to have a partner who's relying on you. So if they're texting you all day long, or if they get frustrated when you're not responding or not, just like getting back to them in a certain amount of time, that's a huge problem. That's one of the big ones that I see, because people that are insecure tend to get extremely attached very quickly. And sometimes it's a little hard to pick up on until their claws are too deep into you.
Yeah, because it feels, I just wanted to jump in. It feels good at the beginning. It feels good when somebody's like, where are you? Why didn't you text me back? Like, it feels good in the beginning, the attention. And then after a while, it starts wearing on you. And I know I've experienced, like, talking to certain potential mates, and then they'll text me, and if we're all busy, right? We're all on a mission, and then if I don't respond within 5-10 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, I guess you're too busy. And I'm like, what the fuck? I have a whole life going on here, like I can't. So it wears on you, but it does feel good in the beginning, because you're like, oh, look, someone likes me a lot, and then it wears on you. So that's a great red flag. Before I pass the mic to George, because I know George had a lot to say, I did want to ask you, Huds. People will say, hey, I don't need to have the experience in order to coach this. I've seen that with people who advise people about children and they don't have children, or people that advise people, like, let's say, you know what I mean, the thunder and lightning sounds, but someone like a Kevin Samuels, right, who wasn't married, who was twice divorced, right, who was backed up on child support in the beginning after he started making money. But in the beginning, that was on his resume. So what do you say to people that say, hey, I don't have to be married to coach people in marriage. I can do it without. I don't have to have children to coach people that have children. I see that a lot online. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that, and again, this is talking one-on-one with somebody, and that's why I offer, free 30-minute consult. Let's get things figured out, see if we're a match. It's all about being a match. I can give you, based on my experience, the best advice I can give. But no, I'm not married. No, I don't have kids yet. So if you're specifically looking for those types of things, I can give you my best advice based on my experience, but I can't give you maybe what is 100% the best. I can also pull forward everything that I've experienced talking to other clients or other content creators, other coaches. But I haven't lived it yet, and I will be transparent with you. I mean, I'll be honest. The majority of clients that I work with are over 40, and they're coming out of divorce. I'm almost 30, I guess.
Oh my God, you're a baby.
I am a baby. Thanks, sweetheart. So, so yes, I'm younger. I am not yet married. I do not have a family. Yet I'm working with guys and helping them be successful when they're in their later 40s. It's crazy, but it's because the experiences that I have had and the people I've talked to, I'm able to give them the information that they need, and they resonate with me. So, two pieces match together.
That is interesting. I got questions on that, but George, I want to pass the mic to you. I really got questions on that. You just opened up a can, Huds.
Right,
you just opened up a can.
Yeah.
Like a list just popped.
Hey, Huds, my whole thing about coaching, and I see this on the internet or on the YouTube a lot of people who, and not to age shame, but they're talking about big life issues, and they haven't even begun to live their life yet. Okay. That's a big thing for me. I'm kind of like, where do you get off telling people who've lived their life how they ought to live it? I think maybe a little humility is in order, and kind of like, but so where I'm going to go with and you surprised me when you said your clientele is like over 40. And for me, I got to tell you that I probably, not that I'd be looking for you, but I wouldn't talk to you because I would feel like I couldn't have a connection with you. There's just some places that I've been that you haven't been yet. It's not so much about smart, I'm smart or anything. It's just, I've seen more of this movie than you have. That's all, called life. I've just seen more of it. And that's important to me. But how do you really relate to, say, guys like me who say, they don't want to, I'll just throw this scenario at you. Should they get married or should they have separate living arrangements with their significant other? And because the reason is because they've gotten both parties have something to lose, have a lot of money. Both of them have been through some shit. Both of them just frankly are at a point in their life where the whole thing about marriage is just bullshit. That's the way they feel. And so I would be interested like on somebody like me who's kind of like in that situation, except without the money. Okay. But that deals with that. That would be one of the curious thing. That's one of the things that where I don't know. I'm just skeptical, Huds. I'm sure you have probably done a good job with these other men. I gotta how do you say it, in good faith that you've done that. But it's that would be a big thing for me.
No, that's it. That's a great question. So let's start with the very beginning. How old are you?
I'm 54.
54. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been married before?
Nope.
Okay. So what's the concern? Because me and my girlfriend, we've been living together for a few years now, and we are going to get married. And I've already been very clear with her that we are not getting a state marriage. So it's, the worries about marriage, not really a problem.
Okay. Well, that say the other one has been married. And like I said, I'm thinking about retirement. There's other things when you get to my age, the sex is good. Okay. Sex is good, but you start thinking about other shit that's coming down the road very quickly. And so for some, that's where, I would, unless you had, and I believe me, I have met people who had wisdom beyond their years, and maybe you do. But that's just where I kind of like, I hear what you're saying, but in your answer, you kind of told me too that you don't have enough depth, at least in my opinion, to address my situation, because you just kind of like glossed over it. You've never been married before, so what's the concern? And I realized that just happened in 5 minutes, and of course, in your 30-minute consultation, we'd flesh this all out. But I'm just thinking about situations where, just like in that situation, what I think. Now, if you're talking to me and you're saying, "Hey, I deal with dudes who are like less than my age and they're just getting started," I can tell them all about how I've made mistakes here and what I think they ought to do. Now, I think in terms of coaching, if you're going to coach around the realm that you know about. Like my industry, my thing is IT and motorcycles and stuff like that. I can teach you how to ride a motorcycle really well. I've been trained, and that's the other thing. Training, any formal training in like psychology, relationship dynamics, things like that. I see a lot of that's lacking. People are just getting up there with their life experiences, which, depending on the depth of it, might be good. But, they're also talking about a lot of bullshit. Now that I'm not talking about you on that. I'm talking about in general. So, yeah.
Interesting. So, I agree with you, George, but Don Levon brought up a good point before we welcome Glenn Lawrence, actor, director, writer, and badass. And Carrie, is it Carrie or Kari?
Kari, like a car.
Kari.
Yeah.
Okay, Kari. Welcome, Kari.
Thank
Don
you.
Levon did bring up an interesting, because I'm with you, George. I'm cynical, so I'm always looking at, you know what I've been through? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I've been through? Like, you can't coach me, you 20-something-year-old. I have a child your age, right? That's the knee-jerk reaction, right? But Don Levon does make a good point with this comment. He says many men over 40 divorced and entering this dating market need coaching. Dating 20 years ago and dating today with this social media dating is different. Coaches are needed in some cases. So it's like, I think 40 something year old in divorce needs someone who's kind of like, you know what I mean, has their ear to the streets of what's happening now. So there is value in someone who's younger and who's still dating now. So now I'm seeing it differently, but that's what the block is for. I'd love to pass the mic to our new guest, Glenn Lawrence. Kari, how are you, gentlemen? Who wants to go first?
I'm doing good. How's my volume? Too high, too low? What is it?
You're fine. We got you.
All right, cool.
Yo. Oh, go ahead. Go. Please.
I was going to say, as a divorced man in his 40s, I don't really date women my age, you know? So like a lot of women are a lot younger than me. I don't really meet a lot of women out and about that I'm attracted to my age, you know? And
how much younger? So we know whether or not we got to drop you from the panel.
The lowest has been 20 years.
20, and you're how old?
45.
You're 45. So a 25-year-old girl?
What are those conversations like?
Okay.
Well, I don't date a lot. I've only dated one 25-year-old, you know. It's like it's varied from 25 to probably 37, something like that, you know. But,
okay, and I'm curious, before you continue, I'm just curious because I hear that a lot. What is it about women your age that you're kind of like, pass?
For me, they're not fun enough. They're
okay.
I'm active, you know. I'm a creative person. I go out, I do filming. I'm out at night sometimes, you know. I don't like go to the clubs to party. I go to the clubs to do things like film, network with people and things like that. But I'm also up late. I'm up to like 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, and dating women my age, they try to get me to get into bed at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm just going to lay here for the next 4 hours, you know.
Fair enough.
And I need somebody that has energy like me, you know, and that just so happens to be in women that's younger than me. I don't particularly go out saying I'm particularly looking for somebody this age. It just so happens I meet somebody and they're maybe younger, you know. But
okay. No, I feel you because I run into bad knees all the time. Like I like doing shit, and I'm like, everybody got bad knees over 40. Knees are busted over 40, so I understand. Right. So go ahead, continue. Thank you for answering that.
But I would say for somebody like me dating somebody younger, he might be able to help understand a younger generation, you know, because things are different between the different generations, you know. And generations change like almost every 5 to 7 years, almost like slang, fashion, all of this stuff, you know. So just that little difference could utilize a service that the Hudsman over here offers. Though I wouldn't personally use it, you know, because I think I'm good. I think
you don't need to. You're killing it. No, but I love what you said, that generations change every 5-7 years or so. That's the truth. A lot of men, they get into these relationships and marriages, and then when they get out of them, they have no idea how to navigate the current sexual marketplace. And that's what I love, being able to bridge that gap for them.
Glenn Lawrence would say thee.
Man.
Is it thee or thou?
So my opinion on like dating coaches, I'm critical a lot about a lot of things, especially, you know, people on the internet in general. But there is a use. There has been shown to be a need. right? You got guys that are, you know, getting out of relationships that they may have been in for 20 years, so they have not adapted or assimilated to the modern time, the modern way of courting or dating, right? So you figure a guy that has been married for 20 years and then he gets divorced. When he was dating, there was no dating apps. There may have been eHarmony on the website, but the internet just started, right? So they're not used to Tinder. They're not used to, you know, Hinge or Bumble, all these different means of forms of dating. And so not being able to, you know, not being familiar with the modern way of interacting with the opposite sex, you know, you could be put off, or you could put off somebody by even approaching them in public. See, like for me, like we come from the generation of like, yo, if you like the girl, you went up to her in public and like you said something. Like today, that could be very off-putting. You know, some people would be like, what are you doing? And, you know, you could just be doing what you normally would do back in your time. But since that's not the customs or what is accepted today on a regular scale, that's not the way that they tend to do it, it could come off as, you know, creepy or whatever. So I could see how, you know, guys that are entering this new generation or new climate of dating would need some advice or some, you know, insight on how to navigate it. Now, here's my issue with dating coaches, because again, I think YB Lily mentioned this earlier. Anybody can be whatever they want to say.
Oh yeah.
You know, and there is no certification needed. I mean, like if you want to be a registered or clinical, you know, coach, there is certification that you can go through and that you can take, and that is, you know, backed by accreditations and stuff like that. Like I have an impact consulting business where, you know, I help guys in certain areas of their life, but not all areas. Like some areas, I just tell them like, I can't have nothing to do. I have no experience with this. This has nothing. I could point you in directions that may best suit your problems or your issues or what you're dealing with or what you want to do. But I have no experience with that or no, you know, training in this realm. So for me, I can't be of service to you. And typically mine's like a lot smaller pool of guys because I'm very selective in who I would want to waste my time with. But there's a lot of grifters out there, and I don't even promote it like that. Like I don't tell people like, hey, sign up with me and I'll get you laid today. Like it's not like that's not my thing. I try to keep that, you know, very, you know, minimal. But there is a need for it. And I do have accreditations for it. I do have the certificates and the schooling behind it, but there's not a lot of people that do these days. They are like, oh, I have had good opportunities or I had good luck with picking up chicks, so I could teach you how to get laid. Like, you know, remember I sent you that guy, you know, the dating coach that, you know, had that issue in Vegas where he sexually assaulted, you know, kidnapped, grabbed her titty and masturbated while she was locked in the car. You know, like he has a program and he's selling this.
Hold on. I thought that was the mating dance. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
No, Huds, it's not.
Unless your name is John Anthony Lifestyle, yeah, you know. But like that guy has a program and he sells this shit. You know, he's a millionaire off this shit. People are falling into the need of guys is so, you know, so great that you got guys that are predators out there, you know, being able to capitalize in this unverified, unchecked, you know, space. And, you know, it's very dangerous. I always say vet your gurus. Like if you find somebody that you're interested in and you're kind of liking their talking points or they seem to align with you, vet them. You know, always like don't take anything I say for credit. Like fucking do your homework. You have a responsibility to do your own due diligence and fact check what people are saying or what they're doing. You know, so I think it's important that as much as dating coaches are a necessity these days, because people just don't have the social skills. You know, especially guys. Guys seem to be more on the autistic spectrum when it comes to dealing with
Right.
women.
No, and that's
It's true. It's
That's
literally
true.
true.
Yeah, that's true too.
No, that's facts. It's statistics on this.
I know it's facts. I deal with this. Like
But so it's
communicating
like-
with men now is like, are you kidding me? Like,
I
Yeah.
always assume that they are on the spectrum, and that's not trying to be funny. Like,
No,
just
I do.
make that
I do.
assumption. Yeah.
I think everybody's on the spectrum these days. I'm like, okay, everybody's a little bit of crazy or retarded.
Oh my
but let me ask this question, just devil's advocate. It sounds to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to me like an older gentleman would need someone HUD's age if he wants to date someone HUD's age. Because I think a 45-year-old, if he went after 45-year-old women, they're going to be on the same vibe and same wavelength because they come from the same generation. But if I'm a 45-year-old divorced man and I want to date a 25-year-old, I may need another 25-year-old to tell me what 25-year-olds, what language they speak. Now, that's what it sounds like to me, because do you need to coach a 45-year-old to date a 45-year-old or someone in his age bracket?
I think it's the communication skills,
Sure.
right? That's really where it's at. It's like, you know, so remember when we were young, we played Monopoly,
Mhm.
right? And we had like the little car pieces, the little metal things, and the real like paper money,
Mhm.
right? Well, then years later they changed it to the debit card. Well, all you had a little debit card, and you could ding ding, but the game was still the same, but the means changed of playing it. Well, nowadays it's virtual. You could do it online, and you could do it, on your computer or on your phone with other people, and not have anything other than your device, right? So the means and how the game is played has changed, but not the game itself. So when you're coming from playing Monopoly from the paper in the real pieces time to now having to play it in this digital world, the game, you're just not familiar with the means and how the game is being played.
You don't know the rules because
So
it's now
even if you're trying to go with somebody that's your age, how do you find somebody if that was your choice to select? How do you find where are these people, where are these women your age that are single at, right? And how do you approach them in this society that everybody's on a device? The biggest dating app is not even registered as a dating app, which is Instagram.
Wow, I thought it was Facebook. I thought it was Facebook. It's
no,
Instagram.
Instagram is the dating app.
Instagram is a whole stroll too.
Yeah.
When I meet a woman, I don't know whether to ask for her phone number or her Instagram.
Now they ask for Instagram these days. People rarely ask for numbers anymore.
Actually, that used to be a close. Back in the day when you got a girl's number, that was a close. You used to be able make sure the number is verifiable too. Make sure you actually call it and you get a real voicemail and you don't get the doo-doo-doo, you just got scammed, but back in the day, getting a number was a close. Today, getting a number ain't shit. It's getting their Instagram, having them follow you. That's a real close.
That's funny, but it's true.
Let me ask a question here. Jen, Glenn, let me hop in here because Jen, I thought it was funny that you're saying I thought it was Facebook. So let me ask, as a 45-year-old woman,
49, honey, 49.
Okay, don't be cutting off a few years.
Right. Do not be taking away these
I'm 49.
years, baby. Years, baby.
There is no way that either of you are that old.
I'm 49, baby. I'm 49.
But if you were a 45-year-old woman, how do you meet men?
How do I meet men?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't really have to. They're all in their DMs.
Right. So I would say, if I'm being honest, I would say online.
Okay, well, it's a little different
on Instagram. Used to be on Facebook. Used to be on Facebook, but now I'm more so on Instagram. So Instagram, like guys that DM me, and I go straight to check their life out. Let me see what this guy's into, how he dresses, what he drives. Does he have too many children? That's what I do. And then I either say hi back or not at all, depending on their Instagram. So I would say Instagram if I had to. Short answer, Instagram.
That's what I'm saying, that if guys have been in relationships or a little bit older and they're disconnected from current society, they need to understand what they're supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to be posting, what they're supposed to be sharing. How do they represent themselves?
Fair enough.
The potential dating pool?
Right. Because I tell you what, I rarely ever jump into anybody's DM. It just doesn't feel natural to me.
So that was what I was about to say. I still get people, because I'm in New York City and I'm always outside. So I still do get people who approach me physically. That still happens here. Now, once you leave here, and I travel a lot, it's a lot different. They don't approach you outside of New York like that. Now, the DMs, yes, they slide in DMs all the time. But for some reason, I don't deal with DM guys for this, because the thing is, even when I've met guys on the street, I don't even want them to know what I do. I don't even want them to have my social media, because I learned early on they change after they see my social media.
Isn't that true?
Yes.
Isn't that true?
Yes. I don't like them to have
But
my
it's
social
also
media.
your employers do that now too, though. Like, you know, if like employers ask you for your social media, you know, when you're going in for a job interview, they want to see, like, you may be great, you may have the best resume period, you know, out of all the candidates they've seen, but maybe they don't like your social media. So you know what, because of your social media presence, they will, you know, cut you off too. So it social media has been utilized in a way that I don't think it was ever intended it would go this far. And it's gotten to the point where it's like people, everything is, you know, Instagram, everything is their social media presence. You know, I mean, Kevin Hart made a joke, 7-8 years ago, that he had apologized for 5-10 years later or something like that. And it's like, that was because of social media. So it's a gift and a curse.
Yes.
You know, and it's one of those things that, you know, people are now, like, if you want to get to know somebody without really getting to know them, you spy on their social media. Right.
Absolutely. I do have a question, but George has to drop, but he wanted to say something before he goes. What say you, George?
Yeah, just real quick, Glenn, Corey, y'all raised some really good points, and also Don LeVon did as well. So I can see, like, if I was dating a younger woman, then yeah, it would behoove me to seek HUDs out and see what's going on. So like I said, I got to drop HUDs. The only thing I would say, just in closing with you, and I'm going to listen to the rest of this, is like what Glenn was saying about certs and training and all that kind of stuff. I think that will really help your game quite a bit with taking your practical experience then with what the training is, and then bringing that together. It'll really enhance your credibility, at least from my perspective. So I wish you luck, man. I really do. Okay. All right.
I really appreciate that, George. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys later. I'm gone.
All right.
George.
Good night,
All right,
George.
George.
Thank
Good
you.
Mhm.
So I have a question. Going back to what you said, Glenn, you was like, well, you should vet even the quote unquote coaches. Let's talk about the huge gurus, someone like Andrew Tate or Kevin Samuels. The majority of guys, right, are just looking for someone that they resonate with, right? They're not vetting. They just like what these guys look like and what they sound like and what they say. So
And what
would
they
you
drive.
say, and what they drive, right? You got to have, if it's a Bugatti, then it's even better, right? So would you say these are the big dogs? Let's talk about the big dogs for a minute, right? Because they have the biggest followings, right? So, these guys aren't vetting. They just like what Kevin said. They like what, Top G said. What would you say to that? They're not vetting these guys. Do you think that Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels are leading these guys to lead a better lives and be more attractive, not to themselves, but to the opposite sex? Because I'll say this, if a man approached me with Kevin Samuels talking points, immediate turnoff. If a man approached me with Andrew Tate talking points, immediate turnoff. They would just come off to me as tools. And I'm like, I'm not going to deal with an asshole no matter what he drives. But what do you say to guys that are looking up to these guys? Because they have the biggest followings. The coaches are cool, right? But these guys have the biggest followings. Do you think they're vetting Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels? Or are they just like, well, no one's doing anything with Kevin, but you know what I mean? His
I don't think
talking points are still out
there. And again, remember how I said, like, people are on a spectrum, right? Most guys are autistic, right? So what they are doing is they're mimicking, they're role playing.
Yes.
Right. I'm gonna be Andrew Tate. I'm gonna be my own recreation of Andrew Tate. And I'm gonna have the swag like Andrew Tate. I'm gonna fake it until I make it. Right. And what they're not realizing is that some of the things that are said in these streams are just for your information. just for you to be aware, not for you to reenact. Like it's like just because Andrew Tate says this
So you're
about,
basically saying just for entertainment purposes. That's what you're saying.
well, not even just for entertainment purposes, it could be just for information purposes, right? So if a woman is her words and her actions are not aligning, right? Let's say she said she's really into you, but she's always ghosting you, right? And you're like, I'm getting mixed signals, and let's say you read an article about the medium is the message, and which means, watch what somebody's actions and their words. If their words and their actions don't align, then take what their actions are saying to you, because that's really what is going on, right? So if the girl is ghosting you and, but she says she likes you, but she's always ghosting you and only kind of hits you up when it's convenient for her, but never responds to you, right? It's like,
like when she's hungry.
Yeah, like what's the medium is the message? Does she really like you, or are you there for convenience, right? Like what is her actions showing you? Well, you don't respond with, well, you know what? I think the medium is the message here, and what you're doing is like, the message that you're really sending to me is not what you're saying. You don't go down that road, right? You just take the information that they tell you and go, and you're being aware of it, instead of regurgitating all the talking points and all the things that they say. It's information, for you to understand how people are reacting or people are behaving, and, for you to respond the way that you think you should respond accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the guys I see out there that try to mimic Andrew Tate, it just cracks me up, because it's like, why are you being a knockoff version of someone else? Why can't you be an authentic version of yourself? If you agree with his views or his talking points, that's great. But why did you have to, be the next version of him? Be you,
I love that point, because I swear to you, and then I'll pass the mic, Lily. I know you have something to say, and welcome, Haran DeMarco. I promise you, I was in the gym today and I saw an Andrew Tate. I was like, the look, the swag, and the first thing that came to mind, I was like, this dude is an Andrew Tate fan. Another tool. And it's a great point that you brought up, Glenn, because we see that happen in religion as well. And like I said, the internet is the new church. People don't go to church anymore. They come here to see who their saviors are going to be. And I said, I mentioned the Nation of Islam, where the fruit of Islam, right, the followers, they all put that part in their hair, exactly like Minister Farrakhan. And I'm like, you don't have to wear your hair like Farrakhan.
No, they don't get that part in there. They don't get that part, okay?
And then we had the guys that were shaving their heads for Andrew Tate, and to show solidarity. So that's a great point you brought up. Lily, you had something before we pass it to Haran.
Yes, I will definitely be piggybacking off of what Glenn said, because I was going to make some of these points prior to him going there, but I feel like I can add to that, because this is the thing. There's a couple of things that I'm seeing and that I'm hearing here, okay? First off, most of these gentlemen who are attracted to these coaches, I feel like are attracted to them because first of all, they're putting the cart before the horse. I think that's how it's said. I'm not the best quoter. But they're doing that basically because they're doing it like backwards. And really it's because they don't know who they are. So I feel like a dating coach is not typically what they need, because what they're doing is they're not doing the inner work first, is what I basically say. Like, they probably need a therapist or something before getting to a dating coach, right? Because that's what's going to tend to happen. They're going to end up deifying the person that's helping them.
Do you mind if I hop in real quick on what you're saying here? Because I 100% agree with you. A lot of guys will go out there and they'll find somebody that they kind of resonate with, or they see what is perceived success from that person, and they will mimic 100% what that person does, but they don't actually know themselves. And Andrew Tate's framework may work for some people. Other coaches' framework may work for some people, but it does not work for you. and you're not taking the time to understand yourself and to see whether that framework will work, you're just trying to use a framework that has succeeded for somebody who is not you.
And so I got one more point, because you just took me to my next point. My biggest point is this, because I've been mentoring people for years, typically behind closed doors. Like I said, it's very personal why I do what I do outside of my work life. And the one thing for vetting that I tell people, if you're going to vet a coach, a therapist, whatever, if the one thing that they should never do is tell you what to do. Right? Because what a lot of these people is, they start creating mini-me's of themselves, little mini copies of themselves, right? Like a good coach will never give you an answer.
That's exactly what I do. See, like my whole process is I like to help you come to the conclusion that what you think you should do, like what you think you should do for what's best for you. Right. We will. I'm like a soundboard. I'll listen to what you say. I will give you my opinion or my experience on things, but I will never tell you. I don't give prescriptions. See, that's a huge thing. You want the individual to come to the conclusion that you're just helping them process through things and sort things out. You know, how does this look like? So if you did do this, what do you think that looks like for you? You know, what are the pros and cons of this? Is this something that you think that is practical? Do you think you could practically, you know, accomplish this goal or whatever this task is that you're facing? You know, okay, if it is, how do you think the steps should be? What is it going to take for you to get there? Like, these are all things that, like, I bring up with, you know, people that I work with, and it's like, I don't tell them the answer.
Never.
I make them come to the conclusion for themselves, but I help ask the right questions to help them get to that place where they have the confidence in that answer that they have come up with.
And basically, they should be finding themselves before they find a partner.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
I want to thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, Jen, here's my pickup line. Duh, I like you. Do you like me? Yes or no?
I personally
notes. Sorry.
I personally don't.
Really quickly, hit that like and subscribe. Support Mama. Don't forget to super chat or Cash App if you're watching. If you just want to lurk, then hit that like and subscribe for me. Haran, you were saying?
Yeah, 95% of the time, I just don't think people are very honest with themselves. Most people don't want a therapist. They just want a professional enabler. And they don't want a romantic partner. They just want to be in bed with an enabler. You know what I mean? You got divorced because, yeah, it's your fault you got divorced. Now, whether it's 10% your fault, 20% your fault, or 1% your fault, that 1% is you agreeing to marry the motherfucker. So is your fucking fault. You know, now these are the realities and the truths that people don't want to sit down and have a discussion with. I already know my issues that I had to work through. I don't need to pay somebody to tell me that. I was a fucking alcoholic. I was emotional, you know what I mean? I was emotionally distant. I don't need you to tell me those issues. Now, a lot of times people think that, well, it's me and people have to accept me for who I am. Like, yeah, it's me, but yeah, I like drinking, but it was causing a problem. So that's toxic. You know what I mean? People just assume that just because it's something that they enjoy doing, it means that it's positive. You know, well, crackheads love smoking crack. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's not necessarily a positive thing to do. So a lot of times what I see with a lot of these coaches and these life coaches or whatever the fuck you want to call them, they're not going to tell you the real deal. They're not going to tell you that, hey, man, you need to get your shit together. A lot of times motherfuckers just need a friend. They just need a real fucking friend. They don't need to take their money and go spend up there and spend thousands of dollars and so on and so forth. You just need to have somebody grab you by the motherfucking shoulder and say, hey, man, cut the shit.
Well, see, that's the problem right there. You're right, Milan. You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't mean to cut you off, but you're right.
No, you know, and the point is like this. No, one second, Glenn. Now, I'm not taking anything away from what Huds does or what you do, Glenn. You know what I mean? If you have a genuine mission to help people and try to get them out of their, you know what I mean, out of their negative space, then kudos to you. I don't expect everyone to follow the path that I go through and so on. I'm a realist, you know what I mean? I have no issue looking in the mirror and saying that, okay, this is what this is, and I got to fix it. You know what I mean? That's me. Other people, they need assistance. Other people, they want to spend their lives running away from that. That's their business. But the point here that I'm making is that a lot of these online coaches, offline therapists, or whatever, a lot of them are in business because they're just sitting there shaking their head. They're just enabling a lot of this fucking bullshit that a lot of these people are going through. And a lot of times, those people will sit there and divorce themselves from their therapist because maybe their therapist told them that, hey man, you need to cut the shit. Oh, me and my therapist ain't gonna work out. I had to leave my therapist.
I just want to jump in here real quick because
Yeah.
Haran, I mean, you're right on time, because what I was going to ask Glenn and Huds, and Lily even, it sounds to me like they're, I would say, just how I see it, very soft approach to coaching. Like, well, what do you think? And very therapeutic. What do you think? How can you? And I had a conversation not that long ago with a television executive, and I felt like it was a wonderful, fulfilling conversation because, I was talking to him about shopping, projects and things like that. And he always brought me back to, Jen, what do you think is best? Who do you think is best? And I was like, holy shit. And I felt smarter afterwards because I was like, he put the power in my hand and the decisions in my hand. And it turns out I had the answers, but I was looking to be, guided. And he was like, no, I'm going to let you figure it out. And I felt fulfilled. However, going back to what Haran said, I'm also a hands-on learner. You have to show me what the fuck it is that you have experience in, and just tell me that. I need a coach. And when we look at sports, coaches in sports aren't like, well, what pass do you think you should do? And,
Well, no,
where do you think you should throw the
See, like,
ball? They're
I
like,
think-
this is what the fuck you do. You get in there and they win. And the
Well, there's a
teams
difference
win.
between fundamentals. See, that's what you're
Yeah.
talking about. You're talking about fundamental skills versus, like you have already taught that they already have the fundamental skills. They know basic things, but it's like, how do they execute? Now you're helping them figure out how to execute after they have already had the skill set, right?
Okay.
So there's a difference. And it's like, you have to be my process of doing some, because so I'm not going to disclose anything about exactly, but I had a client that came to me and he was telling me about, he's trying to get back into some things. And
I'm sorry, Glenn. Somebody mute your mics, guys, when you're not talking, because I'm hearing wind like in between every word. Go ahead, Glenn.
So I had this guy tell me like he's having these problems and, and he wants to, get better at this specific thing. Well, what he was doing was very counterproductive in his process. Like he was literally sabotaging himself in the process as a cope, right? And some people would just be like, "Oh, okay," and not call them out. I'm like, "Well, you're being an idiot. You're shooting yourself in the foot." Like as Haran was saying, sometimes they need a friend. But see, here's the problem: people are too concerned about how what they say may actually offend their friend, how it's going to make them feel, not really about whether or not their friend actually really needs to hear what they're having to say. I tell my friends, like, I'm very raw and I'll tell them straight up, you're an idiot. Like what you're doing is fucking stupid. Sorry, I think it's stupid. I think it's counterproductive. I've told Huds many times he's stupid. I tell him all the time he's stupid, and it's like, and it's not because I do it in a mean way, like to make him sound like he's illiterate. I'm saying you are getting in your own way of succeeding in what you're trying to do. So stop, coping with this and, abandon this, but people don't want to do that. They don't want to offend. They don't want to hurt their feelings. And we live in this, generation where it's not what people say is true or not. It's how it makes them feel. It's like Haran could be telling me something like, Glenn, you're slacking here. And if I said to him, I feel what you just said to me was aggressive and, like you were attacking me, and I don't appreciate that. I'm just ignoring the fact whether or not what he said is actually true or not. Because if what he's saying is true, and I'm not addressing that first, but I'm addressing how what he said impact my feelings, then I'm never going to get past the problem or get to the point where I'm actually addressing the problem. It's like, there's a story of like a woman with a nail in her head, and she's going around saying that I have a headache, and she tells her husband, I have this headache, and and she's like, I tried medicine. He's like, well, have you tried taking the nail out of your head? And she's like, I'm talking about my head. I'm in so much pain. You're going to ask me about this. Like, she didn't like the way what he was saying made her feel, but what he was trying to address was the problem. But because he wasn't sympathetic to her feelings, and that's the generation that we're in, it's all about how things make us feel. It's like they're not going to get the solution that they want from their friends, and friends don't want to be that person to offend anybody. So they go to somebody like, that they don't have any emotional connection to, and would rather hear that cold, hard truth from somebody that they have no, connection with, no relationship with, no history with. And they're able to take that better than taking it from you. Like, how many times have you ever like had a relationship where you told your partner something, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whoever, like, hey, you're doing this wrong, and they get mad at you. But then Joe Blow down the street goes, hey man, you're doing that wrong. If you did it differently, if you did like this, you might, actually be able to do that better. And it's like, what? They're like, oh yeah, man, cool. Yeah, thank you. But when you bring it up, it's like, what are you talking about? Are you trying to say I don't know what I'm doing? Like it's like, it's an attack, but from somebody else, it's easier, but it's way easier to receive.
That's good, Glenn. I love that. I haven't heard that nail analogy in a long time. I'm really glad you brought it back into my memory. But the only difference on kind of it's not difference, but like the way I approach it, because as you were saying, Jen, typically that it becomes softer. One of the first things I tell people is, if I'm able to help them, I tell them, I need you to shut the fuck up and listen, and then we can get this solved together. I am not here to be your friend, but I am here to solve your problem. But you need to work with me. And as long as you listen, you will get results. Every single person that I've said that to and has followed through with the program that I do has worked out. And I tell people, after we're done with this, I don't want to fucking see you again, because I want you to have the skills so that you never need to see me again.
That's that I was gonna say, like, that's where I was gonna go with it. That's really should always be the point, right? Is not creating a codependent relationship. And how you do that, for me, my experience is I always hold the mirror up to them. Always hold the mirror up to them. Because if for anybody that has ever done that for yourself, you would know that is the hardest job you will ever have in your life, is to continuously hold the mirror up to yourself. Because we're in this society, we're trained to look out the window, not in the mirror, right? So and how I do is I kind of I'm a fast study, so I learn them through their own, through their own story, right? And then as I learn them and they start coming up with issues and problems and stuff, I teach them how to use their own story, their own experience to get the answers. Because it's not going to come from me, because these are my answers. This is my life, and this is what I need. You may find out you need something completely opposite from me, but you'll never find that out unless you go inside and put the mirror up to yourself. But and the other thing is, you cannot coach two people the same at all. It's too so some people I'm like shut the fuck up. This is what the fuck it is. I'm like hardcore. And some people I'm like, sweetie baby, because I already know they're a crumble child. They will crumble. They go, like Glenn said, they'll miss the whole message. So I'm like, okay, I got a sweetie honey baby there, So it's you kind of learn the person, but
until you get them to a position where you can, because the goal is never to leave them that way.
yeah, exactly. Because the way my people did me, like, they kind of pretty much broke my ass down and made me rebuild, like help me rebuild myself. But it was like, put the work on me. The work is yours. Like, I'm not your savior. I'm not your leader. You shouldn't be looking for any fucking leaders. Like, you're going to realize at the end of dealing with me, it's like, oh, I don't even need your ass. No, you don't.
So let me ask this before we pass the mic to No Saint, because he's been patient. This question here. But really, why is dating so hard these days that men need coaches? Really? And then is it due to social media, people having too many options? Because of social media, the dating market has expanded. I think that's a great question. And here's why, because it goes along with something I was going to ask. You know how you're up late 2-3 o'clock in the morning and then all those infomercials come on about what could be wrong with you? Is your eye twitching? Well, this is what's wrong with you. Are you hungry right now? You're suffering from blah, blah, blah disease. And you're like, oh my God, am I? I'm up right now. Is my eye twitching? Right? Do you think with the rise, right, with the saturation of social media, coaches, right? Do you think that men, even men that aren't quote unquote sick, are going to start feeling like, oh, this is why women don't like me? Like, are we conditioning men to be weaker and needier by having other men with a lot of charisma tell them something's wrong with you and here's what it is? Do you think there's conditioning going to happen?
I think so. There's a little bit of both, and I'll just say this quickly. I think I think we've talked about this before. I said a lot of guys have this belief of these old set of rules, right? And they're playing based off of this old set of rule book that they were taught. Disney taught, maybe their old man taught them, or like somebody, their grandfather, just a previous generation of way that things are interacting and how intersexual dynamics are between men and women, from this time frame. And so they're taught these old set of things that have no value today. And so whether it's the relationship diagram or paradigm that they believe it's supposed to be, or how it's things are supposed to be, and it's not the reality today, they have a struggle with connecting what they were taught, part of it, and what is reality. So I think for guys, it's like they have this impression. A lot of guys still think women are not as that don't have the same, or don't have a higher sexual drive than they do. Women still don't have, technically, from scientific standpoint, they don't have the testosterone in them to have this to equate to the same sexual drive as men do.
Did they survey Puerto Rican women, Glenn?
They do have they do. Now there are some outliers.
I'm just fucking
There
with
are
you.
some
Women like the
outliers.
quality of sex. Men just like sex.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
I've met some
difference.
women that.
But there's
my
like,
gosh.
well, there's a term for them. They're nymphomaniacs, right? But they don't understand that women actually do have a sexual drive, that's a lot more than what they actually think they have. So it's like just not being informed, not being aware of what is real, and basing things off of some outdated or some old set of values is one problem for guys, in my opinion. Also, a lot of these guys, in my opinion, are from the fatherless generation. Dad wasn't home to teach you how to be a man enough to interact with women, or dad wasn't home there, because if you had dad in the house, he would teach you, or you'd be able to model yourself and how he acts with your mom to understand how you should interact, or have some guidelines or some baseline to understand how you should interact with women. But there's an absence of that, right? So, and it's like a lot of, and no disrespect to moms out there, but sometimes moms don't give their sons the best advice when it comes to women. They're just making their son the best version of the man that they would want them to, for them. It's called building the better, beta, or the better model for themselves. If they were going to be able to make a guy for themselves, they do that with their sons, right? Like, I would want my guy to be like this. No, you need to be like this.
But they do that with their sons without
Yes.
thinking about the attraction
Exactly.
that they would have to that guy.
Exactly.
Without thinking about what? Without thinking about what?
The attraction.
Exactly.
So,
Like
so they're giving like all the qualities that make them feel comfortable, and like
security, provision, like all those great, things that women want a long-term relationship aspects would want, but they don't help them when it comes to the attractiveness aspect. So
what do you mean, though? Break that down. Like, what do you mean the attractiveness? Like, they're not telling them how to present in public? What do you mean the attractiveness?
So if you had a guy that's like throwing himself at you all the time, constantly, like being super needy,
Mm-hmm.
You might think it's like cool at first, like, oh wow, he's really flattered with me, like, but you're gonna get to a point where like it's a little like unhealthy the way he's like up, clingy on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you become like his whole world, and it's like, there's not a lot of like you're gonna that kind of tends to turn women off. It's not very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But he may have all the qualities of being the best, partner in a relationship, but he doesn't get to experience that aspect with a lot of women because he turns them off in his approach. Does that make sense?
Well, one thing I want to ask, and I know you got to leave in a second, but one thing I want to ask just while on this topic. So, Jen,
Mm-hmm.
when you have sex with a man,
Mm-hmm.
do you like that man to take control of you? Or
Yes.
do you like that man to be very soft, gentle? Can I kiss you? Can I touch here? Which do you prefer?
I would say take control. Like I like being in bed and knowing I'm with a man. That's why I'm in bed with the man. If not, then I
that's
date
Let's be a
women.
love affair.
And
Right.
that's what Glenn's kind of talking about is
Mhm.
what women end up expressing to their children, or what is put out in media is
Mhm.
that men need to be soft. They need to be in touch with their emotions. They need to be this, that, the third. But they're not talking about what really makes them attractive and passionate in that relationship.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting. I know Kari has to go, so I want him
gotta get ready
to.
to go.
Okay.
I just wanted to say one thing before I go. It was dope joining y'all, dope being here. It kind of feels like we was talking a lot tonight about the effects that dating coaches have on men, but we didn't really speak about the effects that it has on women as well. Because to me, it seems like it has a very I'm not even sure the word that I'm looking for. It has a herd effect. It feels like to me because it feels like a lot of women are having the same. A lot of women want the same exact man.
they've
all want
always
the
wanted the same exact man.
They want the
They've
same exact man.
They've always wanted the same exact fucking
No,
man.
before they want the same exact man. Nobody, everybody talks shit about 50-50. And in today's generation, where rent in New York itself, if you want 2-3 bedrooms, how much you looking at rent in New York?
I
About
told
300, 400,000.
Exactly.
Huh? It's starting at in Brooklyn. It's starting at 2,100 for an efficiency.
No, I was talking about
Exactly.
living, like cost of living. If you want that kind of lifestyle,
I'm
I'm
traumatized.
So to be fair, Kari, you're absolutely right, and thank you for reminding me because the thumbnail was both sides of it. The guy on the left is catering to women, and the guy on the right is catering to men. So you're absolutely right. I did want to touch on the coaches that are coaching women, right, and telling women what they should do and look for, and what's wrong with men today. So thank you for bringing us back to that.
A lot of coaches, you don't even see their face. You just see the memes that they put out. And then people use those memes as their arguments and their thought process and defenses. And so the memes are the coaches as well, low key. But I appreciate y'all. I'm out of here.
Thank you for coming through.
I'm gonna check it out on my phone while I'm driving.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Kari.
Be safe.
I just want to say a few things. As I'm of the particular belief that how you do one thing is how you do everything in your life, or most of everything in your life. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s in New York. I was conditioned to behave with a degree of defensiveness and offensiveness. I had to, move in a particular stern manner. I had to be there. I was there. I was basically conditioned to be a survivalist because that's how you move in that world. You survive in that world. However, I succeeded to the point in my life where a lot of those skills that I attained from that world, it doesn't necessarily translate into a world that there's really no war going on. You know what I mean? I mentioned the other day, I found myself looking over my shoulder in Whole Foods. Like, what's really going to happen? Look at me walking through the aisle in Whole Foods.
You're gonna
But
get hit
it's
with the
just-
zucchini.
It was just this mentality where it's just like you're constantly in this space of defensiveness, and you could take those to your relationships, you could take those to all these other places, and you can't relax.
Mhm.
A lot of times, the reason why your relationships aren't working is because you don't fucking relax. You know, you just don't trust a motherfucker. You're constantly wondering what's going on and so on. I still do these things, you know what I mean, with my people, most of my friends, you know, I still go at life alone in a lot of ways. I'm still in that survival mechanism. I'm trying to get out of that. You know, I'm trying to get out of that and understand that, you know, it's more so about living and thriving and so on when you reach to a certain level. But again, that comes to a man has to sit down and see these things himself. This is not some of the things that a guy like Andrew Tate is going to tell you. This is not some of the things that a guy like Coach Greg is going to fucking tell you. They're going to tell you some shit like, you know what I mean? If she thinks she's the prize, get fucking rid of her. They're going to tell you a whole bunch of fucking shit that you can't really use individually. And that's my problem with a lot of these coaches. You're telling me nothing that I can do that I can use to make me a better person. You're just telling me shit that'll make me improve how I'm perceived.
Right.
You're just telling me shit that fits a perception.
Right.
Now, if I follow all these fucking rules here, I'll be perceived this way. I'll be, you know what I mean? I'll be seen this way. But
Interesting.
but does it mean that I'm this person? Because after I shut off this computer and after I come back from, you know what I mean, my date where I'm, you know what I mean, behaving like the alpha and all this other shit that you told me to act, I got to go home and deal with the fact that I still feel fucking empty inside. Now, what do you do with that?
That's like the coaches. That's like the coaches that tell dudes, you know, go work out. That's what women want, and now you just have a tool with muscles.
Right.
Yeah, like
I think the
but it has to be for the right things, the right reasons. You're like one of the things. One second, Hugs. One of the things I tell guys to do. The reasons why I tell guys to work out isn't because, you know what I mean, just to, you know, just for aesthetics. It's really because the moment you can conquer your health, you can conquer the way that you look and feel. It'll be a huge accomplishment, and the psychological, you know what I mean, a result of that. You'll feel like, yeah, if I can change this, I can change other things in my life. I can do this, I can do that, and by just doing, and it has an effect, because then you'll realize, oh shit, now I'm dressing better. Oh, now I'm handling situations better. I'm being more stoic in stressful situations. All of these things play on each other.
Yeah, let me just piggyback off of that. Like, I could say for my own
Jen, you're muted, Jen.
I wanted to throw the mic to No Saint because he's been very, very patient, and I do want to segue to the coaches that coach women as well, because I want to.
That's what I wanted to talk on. So let me grab it after him.
Okay, cool. And then we're gonna get into something else. But go ahead, No Saint.
Can I just piggyback off of what Haran said real quick before we do that?
Now let's let Saint talk. Let's let
No Saint because he's been
okay.
waiting. He's been waiting. I want to be fair.
All
Okay,
right,
Mr. Patient.
So for everything, I timed your last short statement that went on for like 7 minutes.
We always need somebody to time them.
So I mean, a lot of Lily said something that I totally agree with. There, I understand that when some of the people on the panel speak, they're speaking in a lot of generalisms, because what Lily said is what I was thinking about. Like, there's no one size fits all for most people. So, I don't think that you're avoiding telling. If you can tell somebody the truth and skip over the hurting someone's feelings, it's just more difficult. It's almost like when you spank kids. It's easier to spank the kid because he's gonna listen, because he's trying to avoid pain. Doesn't mean he's learned a lesson. It just means he's scared of you. So, to say that, and I realize, like, maybe if you're speaking to someone in New York and you say, hey, you're stupid, they will take it differently than someone in a different culture.
Right.
Oh yes.
And I'd like to say, because I know like Metallica, right? I saw Metallica in concert in Cleveland, and the drummer Lars, I can't remember, I think he sprays water in the audience from his water bottle, or he maybe even spits it or whatever. Well, the same thing happened in Colombia, and I remember my brother-in-law were saying like people were taking offense to it because they didn't realize he wasn't spitting on them to say like you're less than. That's just what he does. But it works in America and it doesn't work in Colombia, right? So that's a lot. So and another thing is, Jen, you're right on point. Like what he was saying about, he sits there and listens and lets them come up with their solutions is the same thing a therapist does. So he may be a good deal, or maybe I want to hear something else. I'll pay Jen $100 and she can tell me exactly what she thinks. But no. Seriously though, that's what therapists do. Therapists sit there and they don't tell you what to do. They listen, and they may say, "Hey, have you ever thought about something like this?" They may do that. You know what I mean? But it's really interesting hearing him say that. You know, that's what he does. Because I'm thinking, okay, so do we really need therapists? I mean, or is it just more overpriced? Because a lot of us can do that. If you think about it, if you get a little bit of training under you, you can sit there and let people come up with their own conclusions. But no, I just, these are always hard subjects for me, because I just think that the old saying is there's someone out there for everyone. Mm-hmm. It is true. I believe it. There's way too many people out there that like way too many different things. And I don't think there's a one size fits all to be a man. And I think our last few generations, we've lost some things, but at the same time, I don't think people, it's really difficult. I don't think they were teaching people like 100 years ago. I think times were different. Lessons were different. Situations were different. So I don't know. It's tough. I understand what everybody's saying, but I just think that there's one way to be a man. And as far as this Andrew Tate, these guys that are looking up to him, all they're doing is they're hearing from him what they think they want to say to women, because maybe they've been scorned or maybe they haven't had the success. So they're oh yeah, this is right. Guarantee you, without the Lamborghini and I don't, he works out and he's all that, with all the
Bugatti.
Yeah, okay. No, the Bugatti.
And without the aesthetics,
get the car right.
Yeah, without all the aesthetics and everything, and he works out and he's got a toned body and everything. I'll show you a bunch of people that can watch him that aren't going to have any success and may go to jail for saying the things that he says on the internet. He'll get more people in trouble than he'll get them laid. Many people.
And that's why I always say vet them, right? That's important to vet them. Like, and no saying, you did bring up a point. Like, there's people get like fascinated on like one person. Like Andrew Tate is like the fix all for me, right? But I have many mentors, multiple mentors from different backgrounds, where there are certain things that I could get from this individual that I can't get from this individual, maybe because of their experience is different. And it's like, but what a lot of guys do is like, they will get so, it's like they're almost in a committed relationship with their influencer. It's like, I'm not going to listen to anything anybody else says because I'm loyal to this person. It's like, dude, are you dating them?
That's why I liken it to religion, because Christians don't want to hear shit about Catholics and vice versa. This is my religion. This is who I worship. I don't care what anyone else is saying.
They do make it they become religious with their ideology or their guru, and it's almost they liken them to the Messiah complex, right? Yeah. It's like they almost make them their Messiah, and it's like, well, people are all flawed. Nobody's perfect, And Andrew Tate's experience is not your experience. What his life, led him to where he's at is not yours. You never experienced the same identical things, and if you did, you can't even say you processed them the same way that this individual did, you know? So it's like, you can't, you know, it just too many people do that. Like they cling to one individual and they make them the messiah or like their leader. And it's like, no, be more analytical. Like I always tell people, test people, challenge what they say. Like not necessarily, you don't got to argue with them, but like if they say like, hey, do this. If you do this, you're going to be great at this. Okay, you know what? Let me test this theory out, you know, and I will test it. And if there's some positive results, I'm like, oh, there might be some credibility to what this individual says. And then you just take it as that, but you don't take it blanketly just because they drive a Bugatti and you know they have the coolest sunglasses you've ever seen, right? And because they're very aesthetically pleasing. But what they do capitalize on is the aesthetics, right? You are your best business card.
Yep.
So, and people get so sucked into what they perceive,
Yes.
the business card aspect of it, that they are willing to dismiss whether or not there's any credibility or any depth behind the individual or what they're saying.
People don't care about depth.
No, they don't.
They want to
Let me-
feel good.
Let's do a super chat break really quickly. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, seems like some of these men dating coaches are trying to turn these guys into pick-me's.
Yep.
Don Levon also says, dating would be easier if people would just date the choices that they have that's in their lane. If you're fat, find you a fat girl and be happy and stay out of Jen's DMs. And great point, because the next thing I was going to say is I think the most important thing that a dating coach can teach someone that's out here trying to date is stay in your fucking lane. I think the biggest issue people run into is veering out of their damn lane. You crash every single time. Like I think the majority of issues that people have with dating is that you're baiting fish you can't catch. Then you become bitter and you become angry. Stay in your damn lane. Why don't people like staying in their lane?
This goes back to my original point, is because they don't know who the fuck they are. So they don't even know what lane they're in. They know what lane they want to be in. They know what lane that they ideally like fantasize being in. So they do this fake it till you make it type of situation when that's not even them. Like if they do the work on themselves, they'll more than likely figure out and find out that they're nothing that they thought they were.
Well, because people are not being honest with themselves.
Yes,
or
that's it.
people are not, the people around them are not being honest. You know what like always cracks me up? Like, and I'll use American Idol, for example. You know, in like the first, like, you know, couple episodes of American Idol when they're like scouring the country for their singers. And it's like, you got that guy or that girl that just can't fucking sing. And they waited in that damn line all damn day and their families with them. Right. And it's like, they go up there and they embarrass themselves in front of the world. And like, they're told that they can't sing and they just get dismissed. But they believed that they were the greatest singer since sliced bread. Why? Because their family never told them the truth. That, like, you fucking suck. Like, you should not sing. Stop. You know, okay, when, you know, that's not you. Pick an instrument, learn the instrument. Okay, that might be your way to showbiz. But people are not willing to be honest with people enough to tell them that. So we got people that are delusional, thinking that, like, you know, a girl that could be obese and out of shape and with missing teeth, you know, and if she has friends like Jen and her friends that look like Jen tell her, oh girl, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you know, and they lie to her and they fluff her up with that nonsense. Now she thinks she's entitled to the same women that or men that Jen should be getting. And then they have this entitlement theory. And guys do the same fucking thing. Guys do the same thing. You know,
there's a dating.
There's this, and then like, I'm this, and I demand women that like this.
So the internet, I think, is doing that on steroids, because even earlier today, right, I saw this woman completely out of shape. Like unsightly out of shape. She is standing there in a leotard like Beyonce would wear, right? And the caption says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of, this is the bar, baddest bitch, blah, blah, blah. She's talking about herself. So I was like, just out of curiosity, let's look at the comments. In the comments, There were people agreeing with she set the bar. So I'm like, if she's the bar, what the fuck am I? Why am I going to the gym? Why am I going to the gym?
Well,
I think they
bumped
mean she's
into-
at the bar and people are drinking a lot and they look at her.
So
like,
it's a constant, it's a constant also conditioning again of telling people who are average at best, you're good enough. This is great. Now she goes and she slides in Glenn's DMs or, you know, any of the gentlemen on the panel. They're like, I know you're going to like me because everybody's telling me I'm the baddest bitch. And I'm like, you don't have a mirror? You don't have a mirror. No, mirrors are out of style.
That happened to me. That happened to me last week. But I just want to say something real quick though. I was scrolling through Instagram, and these ads pop up.
Mhm.
One of these ads was a dating site for fat women who wanted fit men. No, seriously, fat BBW women who demand top quality men. And I said, holy shit.
Are they paying them?
Is that revenge on
Now,
Kevin Samuels? Is
I
that
have no
revenge on
clue. I have no clue, but let's be real here. There's no way
There's a
any
fetish for
man.
that, though.
There is no way men can get away with some shit like that. No
You're
way
right.
at all.
Well, the difference
when
is
it's
they
given-
just
what-
call it it's something different. It's just called, hooking.
I was just about to say, because what it's giving me is like fetish fishing.
I mean,
Okay.
whatever it is. That's why I said, I was like, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But these women, they were, the advertisement was like, yeah, they were adamant about they wanted them men with
Okay.
6 packs and all this shit. I was like, wow, okay, well,
All
if
right.
somebody's buying,
I gotta say
somebody's
with this whole
buying it.
thing, I gotta say with this whole thing, that's the difference between a men's dating coach and a women's dating coach.
Here we
Women-
go. Let's talk about the
women-
ladies.
Yeah,
Let's
when
do it.
women coach, they tend to be softer. They tend to be more of that, oh, well, listen to what you have to say. And like, no, you got it, girl. You're great. You deserve the best. Don't put up with that. Whereas men, I know Glenn and I have had to do the same thing talking to people like, dude, stop being a fucking pussy.
Mhm.
That's the difference, is at least that's my opinion. And that's what I've seen, that the women that coach women tend to talk in that type of way. Whereas the
Mhm.
men that coach men tend to be a little bit harder. I don't know what the panel's opinion is on that, but that's what I've seen.
Well,
What do
here's
you
the
think
thing.
about what do you think about the men, going back to the topic at hand? What do you think about the men that are capitalizing from being soft with women? Say a Derek Jackson. There's this new guy on the block too. I forgot his name, but he's blowing up, and he sits in his chair with his little rolled up hat, and he's like, the reason why you can't get a good woman because you don't appreciate a good woman. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy.
I can't bear to
You know who
watch
I'm talking
stuff.
about, Glenn?
I can't
I can't stand, dude.
I
So like,
can't.
Yeah, and he's like a rapper or is trying to be a rapper, and he sits there and he talks really nice to people, and he's like, yeah, the reason why you don't appreciate a woman is because, and I'm like, it's cringe. But his follower count is blowing up, and I said,
Look,
okay,
look.
he's going in the Derek Jackson lane. I see what you're
Look,
doing.
listen, Tupac said rap for the bitches. Ain't nobody said nothing. So, you know what I mean? The point of the matter is that, exactly. So the point of the matter is that if you give women what they want, they will show up. You know, and with women, you got to understand, with women and men, this is the thing that we need to really understand and accept. And once we accept this, we can just really put a lot of things behind us. A man's options will never be like a woman's options. It's just won't. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, every man, no matter where he is on the sexual market scale, a woman who is at least maybe a 1, 2, or maybe 3 points below you will always come after you because she'll always think she has a shot with you. And guess what? You know what? One of you will fuck her. One of you will fuck her. And that is the absolute truth. With men, it's a completely different situation. Because if you are 1 or 2 points below a 9 or even a dime, you better be coming with some shit to the table. You better have money. You better have, if you don't have the looks, you better have something going on. You better be famous. You better have a fucking Bugatti or whatever the fuck in the goddamn garage. You better have a whole bunch of shit going on for you. Because with men, we have to have it's just the game is just differently. There was this woman who was just this grotesque woman whose ass was literally she was so fat and portly, her ass was literally hanging out her fucking skirt. It was just grotesque looking. And I sat there saying, what's sad about this isn't that this woman has no shame. What's sad is that there's a man in there who would fucking hit this proudly and walk down the block with his arms around her. That's
let's try to be concise, guys, because we're nearing the end. So let's try to be concise. No, Saint, you had your hand up, so I want to throw it to you.
Well, I will add, rich men have about as many options as a woman, but but most of us aren't wealthy like that, right? I was trying to think. I was gonna say something earlier, and it kind of slipped my mind. What I should have wrote it down.
You got to jump in, Glenn. You got to jump in. Going back to something that Hud said. Okay, yes, the male coaches are hard on the men, right? And the female coaches are easy on the women. But what I think the men that blow up quickly, in this coach, the dating coach business, are the men that tell the other men that they're not the problem, that the women are the problem. So what do you say to that? Because there's a lot of men out there saying it's not you, it's them bitches who don't know what they want. And
I think to me that's those are guys, and I, like I said, I'll say this from the beginning. I have not witnessed a lot of coaching of women, but the few instances I have seen, whether it's like a girl, talking about relationship problems with her dude, right? And knowing them both, and knowing like their dynamic and stuff, like when I've witnessed people coaching her or coaching women like that, it's like they tend to point out the flaws or failures of the other individual. Yeah, he shouldn't respond to you that way. He should have been more. He should have controlled his anger. He should have been. He might have a temper problem. And those are all things that
he's a narcissist.
Yeah. Oh, those are all things that could be very true and very true. But if you're not addressing both sides of the issue, then all you're doing is, not helping women or that girl improve. If you say, well, you know what, you are kind of bossy, and maybe that could actually wear on somebody's nerves, and they might just lash out, like and then be like, I seen you tell him the other day, like bossing him over something, and I was kind of like, oh wow, but women don't tend to do that as much with their friends, because their friends are coming to them in an emotional distress point, right? And they want to coddle them, right? Guys, we have seen guys start mimicking that, and that's where you get she's for the streets. She's just, trash, you don't need to just cut her loose, but not really addressing, well, wait a minute, if she's displaying this behavior, what made her believe that behavior was okay with you?
Amen. Because for the streets is like the cure-all. That's the cure-all now.
If you're not carrying yourself in a way, or you're not establishing the boundaries that you want in your relationship, or if you're always folding and caving and giving into her, whether she's right or wrong, but you're just doing it because you don't want to lose her. Maybe the sex is good, and you don't want to lose that, access to that. Then if you're constantly conceding, to her, then all you are doing is reinforcing that belief she has. So then how does she know whether or not her behavior is bad if you're never saying, hey, I don't like this behavior. This behavior is, not good for me, or whatever. I don't agree with this. And if you're not, doing that, and then you're just as much the problem. But see, nobody addresses that. A lot of guys don't want to address that with other guys. They're taking this, model that they haven't seen with women, and it's like, just blame the guy. It's not you, girl. You're a queen. You know what? You don't deserve him, or he doesn't deserve you, but not really addressing any potential negative behaviors or red flags that she may have that could actually help facilitate this, behavior that she experienced or interaction that she experienced with this guy. It's like they don't do that enough. But guys, they kind of come at them. Well, traditionally, they kind of come at them straight up like, dude, it doesn't matter what she did. You fucked up here. You dated her, you decided to put a baby in her, but you ignored all these red flags. This is your mistake. You know, like Haran was saying.
Ooh, so sizzle. So it reminds me of something I'm always saying is that the effeminization of men is something that men are doing to other men, because I see a lot of effeminate behavior, and men are now congregate like.
Though.
Right, but men now congregate like the way women do, like hair salons, or it's like, girl, let me tell you what happened. I'm seeing men do that online, and they're like kind of like coddling each, not even kind of like, they're coddling each other and making the other person the problem. And I'm like, that's what women do. Like we do that. We ignore that. We could have been the problem. Girl, it's his fault. He's an asshole. Like men are doing that over and over. I do want to, let me acknowledge the super chat really quickly. Thank you, Don Levon, for the super chat. Don Levon says, in a world full of Andrew Tates, be a Forrest Gump. Gentlemen.
Can I ask you a question? You, Lily and Jen. From what I know, the two of you are honest about your own shit.
Yeah.
I've been there when you both have admitted that you fucked up and you did whatever and whatever. Like, how many of your girlfriends are that honest with each other?
Mine?
Yeah.
This is something I say all the time. All of my friends are so wildly different, but the one thing they all have in common is that they own their shit. That's literally a requirement to be my friend, because I feel like if you can't own your shit, you're going to allow me to be delusional.
Okay, then that I respect that, Jen.
I don't have a lot of friends. Lily is it.
Okay, so
I have acquaintances, but I don't really hear. I will say, the girls I hang out with that are like industry friends, I don't hear a lot of accountability. Like that's usually I'm usually the girl in the group that's like I was kind of like stank with him,
and they probably
and Lily knows that, because I tell Lily like I fucked up.
Do they look do they look at you kind of shocked when you admit that you were kind of fucking stank with them? Like how can you admit that you actually did something, girl?
No, they don't. They just know that's how I am. Like they just know they don't look shocked.
But to your point, Haran, when I've been in those groups and I've done that, they have. It's just like, oh, she admitted that. And it's like, but then it turns more to like they won't. Sometimes they'll chime in and be like, okay, me too. Or it's just like they'll sit back in judgment, but later on you find out, bitch, you're just as sick as I am.
Right.
No, there's a biological imperative and a social conditioning that we're talking about right here that we're most likely not going to be able to extinguish. Maybe not in our lifetime, but the point here is this. Women, children, and animals get fucking coddled. Okay, they get fucking sympathy. That's what sympathy is for. You know what I mean?
Who gets coddled?
Women, children, and animals.
But you have to. But now in 2023, you have to add men to that.
But here's the question.
There's a lot of coddling going on of men right now. A lot of coddling.
But wait a minute. This is my point. That shouldn't be happening. And that's why a lot of these men are having the problems that they're having. You know, you shouldn't be sitting around waiting to be coddled as a man. You just shouldn't.
I mean, even to the point, really, let me just jump in even to the point where the gurus, say Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels, the men will not share when both of those men have dragged other men and what they're doing wrong. The men do not share those clips of Andrew Tate telling other men, get your shit in order. And they do not share when Kevin Samuels tells men, get your shit in order. They do not share those videos.
Because they're not clickbaity enough, right? But here, let me point out that, like you said, like men are being coddled enough, like too much, right? And it's like, well, let's talk about that real quick, though. Like we have been told that conventional traditional masculinity is toxic. So the way that men would conventionally and traditionally address another man, we're saying is toxic. We're saying it's, there's that, you can't just tell them like, yo, you fucked up, man the fuck up, handle your business, stop crying and being a bitch about it and address the problem. Like we have like, no, that's the wrong way of doing it nowadays. So it's like, you can't expect there to be this same traditional or, masculine or, addressing of men like Haran is saying, because socially we have now deemed this, method or these types of behaviors or interaction to be socially detrimental to society, and it's like we can't approach them that way. So what are these guys going to do? Well, they're going to mimic what they have been told is appropriate and what they have been told is acceptable, and in doing so. And it's like, well, part of it is them being stupid enough to follow along, but the other part of it is that they have been taught this. This is something that they have been conditioned to, see as a negative now. So there's a lot of different dynamics in play there that I think do play a role, because I agree with Haran. I don't think men need to be coddled. You shouldn't coddle men. You should, grab them by the back of their shirt, pick them up to their fucking feet and say, okay, let's pick up this cross and let's carry the fucking load. I will help shoulder this load for you for a while until you get your legs underneath you. But after that, you're carrying this on your own. That's how we should approach it. Not like, oh, let me just take the load for you. Oh, tell me how you feel about this. How does this, like, at some point, we got to stop worrying about how things make us feel and address the problem in order to get to the solution.
Here. Okay,
here's the problem.
Toxic
all right.
masculinity.
Here's the problem.
Wait, really quickly. Guess what time it is?
Okay.
Guess what time it is?
So what time? We about to talk about race?
Yes.
Oh God.
It's race time.
Well, go ahead.
It's race time. All right,
Okay.
ladies and
What is it,
gentlemen.
girls?
I wonder if there was a bell on the transplantation, ironically.
Okay, it is race time. Let's talk race before we close. Okay. Black dating coaches, Black relationship coaches versus white relationship coaches and dating coaches. Who do you think is more positive and productive in the with their women?
Well, we
Look,
need another
Mike.
hour.
What was it, Huds?
brothers, look, at the end of the day,
And I'm sorry. And
Wait, Huds, what'd you say?
I said white.
Okay, can you elaborate?
I will elaborate. I was actually talking to Glenn about this earlier
Mhm.
because we have the manosphere, guys out there trying to help men. And then we have the black manosphere. Why do we need a black manosphere? Why isn't it just the manosphere? And so that's why I think
You should have been here for yesterday's conversation. I
Right,
had to
yeah.
get out because I had
Yeah.
another thing I had to do. But wow, you're missed out.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. That was a good conversation you missed out on last night.
You better
Yeah.
catch that on the replay.
Huds, is that all you have to say before I pass the mic? You said white.
Go ahead and pass the mic. I can elaborate.
I will explain why there needs to be a black manosphere.
Okay.
Because the issue that black men have with their women, we can't approach it in the same manner that white men have it with their women. Because first of all, white men have been arguing with their women since the beginning of America. Okay, and at the end of the day, white women still choose white women. You know what I mean? They both still bask in their privilege.
White
Black
men.
people,
They
white
choose.
men,
Uh-huh.
white women. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They still bask in their privilege.
Mhm.
They ain't out here divesting. They're out here doing what you know what I mean, whatever, what have you, and that's fine.
Mhm.
They should be handling their tribe. They should be handling their end of the street. Black people should be doing the same. We should be handling the end of our street. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about divesting. We shouldn't be here to, arguing with our women every 5 minutes, because our situation and our margin for error isn't the same with white people. Okay, you can have a ton of white people who fail and they'll still be in control of this bitch. You know what I mean? If we have a ton of black people who fail, we got a real problem as of right now. You know what I mean? We need stronger black homes. We need stronger black men. We need a whole slew of other things that begin with having a better relationship with, between black people. Because if the only course of action that black men and black women deem as an antidote to their problems is running into the arms of the people that cause their problems, that is some fucked up shit. Because you want to run to a white person, and go marry a white person, but they put you in this situation. You don't want to, you don't want to, acknowledge that. So there's a ton of things that we do need to acknowledge. Specifically, as black men with our women, and that is why the black manosphere is important.
So let me push back, and this is a big football push. I usually push back a little bit, but I'm gonna give you a big football push. The problem with the blackosphere, right, and black dating coaches, everything you said sounds great. It sounds so good. It sounds black love, sounds black power, and we need a black space where we, right? Let me finish. The problem is in those spaces, okay, the majority, it's black men saying, fuck black women. That's problem number one. Problem number two is, in the majority of those women in those spaces, is black women saying, fuck black men. So so then what is the point? Like, everything you said sounds great, but none of that is going on in the blackosphere. And if it is happening very, very minimal, where the theme in the blackosphere is like, fuck black men and fuck black women. So I would think that they would benefit more running into the arms of the white people, right? Because if I am a black woman and I look at these spaces and I'm like, well, black men hate the fuck out of us. Well, let me go run to the arms of this white person. Then how can you rationalize that? We need a black space, but look at your black space. It's trash.
And
Can we highlight Don Levon real quick?
And black women.
Can we highlight Don Levon? Super chat break. Don Levon.
Okay, super chat break. Don Levon, thank you for the super chat. Don Levon says, most of the black dating coaches teach game, and game is only useful to pimps and pookies, and I gotta co-sign that.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not running into the arms of the white people.
But
that's not
that's because here's the thing. Black men have a better shot of dating outside of their race. Black women do not. So why wouldn't black women run into the arms of the white people? And I'm also going to push back a little further, just a little further. I don't believe in white people put us in this predicament. No, you were not a slave, and people may get mad, but you, sir, you, ma'am, none of us here on this panel, though we live in a world where there's systemic oppression and redlining and racism and all of that. We all establish this is true, but I wasn't on a plantation. So I can't say that anything that I'm doing or is happening to me was because of the colonizers on the panel. I can't say that. I was born, and then I had decisions to make. Okay? So I can't say white people put me in this predicament if I don't get along with a Puerto Rican man. No, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing with your life and your choices?
Let me push back on that a little. I understand what you're saying. But I will also mention that those black people, they have bought into a lot of those ideas that have put them in those spaces. So if you're going to buy into those ideas that have kept you in those spaces of inferiority, yeah, that's your problem. But guess what? You can change your situation. And if the only course of action you think of changing your situation is to run into the arms of a white person, then that is a very lazy solution.
But this
that goes for both sides of the
hold on. I love race. Don't you love you some race? We finishing real good right now. Really quickly, super chat break. Don Levon says, well, just Pearly thinks the king of the black manosphere may have a different plan for the black manosphere. Haran, to your points, when you say it's lazy to run into the arms of white person, well, the passport bros, right? They flee the country. They flee the country because it's easier to get a lady that's happy with $40, right?
Absolutely.
So why would a people or a woman or a man, scour the earth looking for this one black man that loves them or this one black woman that loves them when they could just make it easy and be like, hey, white guys like me. I'm not fighting with you guys. I'm just going to go get me a white man. Is it really lazy, or are you just doing what's best for you?
But guess what? At the end of the day, like I said, how you do one thing is how you do everything else. If that's the first thing that came to your mind, where it's just like, well, I'm gonna just go over here instead of actually sitting down and fighting and fixing your issues, which could also be internal. Maybe it ain't really a black on black thing. Maybe people just don't like you. Maybe
Well,
you gonna bring your black ass over to white people, and they ain't gonna like you either.
and
You
that's
know what I mean?
Mm.
That's another situation that people don't talk about.
well,
But
that's-
anyway, at the point, wait, what? At the end of the day, the point that I'm making here is that there are a number of issues in the black community that we don't want to address, that we don't want to look for. So at the end of the day, what is the best thing that most of us do? Well, let's just throw in the towel. And that goes for black men and that goes for black women. I've seen it. Do you just want to throw in the towel? Okay, no problem. No problem. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna, but again, this has something that I was taught not to hold white people at a very high regard. I wasn't taught that I'm inferior to white people. I come from a different world. Caribbeans and Jamaicans come from a different world. I come from a predominantly, black space. So I understand where their perceptions of life might be different from mine.
My
Lily,
question is,
you wanted to
does
say
it really matter? Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say, does it really matter where the solution comes from? If you find the solution, like if you're in need of a fix or a solution to your problem, are you getting in your own way if you are choosing to dismiss the solution coming from someone else just because they don't look like you? Like, is it like I have to find the solution for me and my people because I'm just asking, in general, because it's my people are dealing with this, but I see that they figured this out, but I'm not going to go over there and figure out how they figured this out or, gain information or insight on that and how they fix their solution or problem. I got to figure out for myself. So isn't that like kind of setting it back or setting your progress to the goal of, figuring out that solution back? Like,
Let me ask you a quick
I
question.
agree with that. I agree with that because the Nation of Islam did that.
Let me ask you a quick
The
question.
Nation of Islam did that. They chose Scientology. And when we asked someone in the nation, why would you follow a white man? L. Ron Hubbard is Caucasian. Why would you do that? And what was the answer? Well, we can't, the answer is they got the answers and they're better at dealing with this. So even the Nation of Islam has done it. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the word out on the streets. That's why they're now turning to Scientology. So I agree with Glenn.
Well, here's the thing. Hey, I'd love to ask this question. I hear what you're saying. Wonderful. But with the years and decades and almost centuries of issues that white men have had with white women, why don't you guys divest?
well,
Why
yeah,
haven't you guys decided to divest more? Why haven't you decided to? Why haven't you decided to date more black women? Why haven't you
Dude, I
decided to
love,
do all
Right.
these
I
other
love
things?
me.
I
I'll be
have.
honest.
I have too.
I love
I have.
me a black
On
man.
a larger scale. But on a larger scale. On a larger scale. I'm talking about on a
Because I
larger
think,
scale.
because this is why I think this is just whatever, this could be controversial because I think a white woman would submit to a white man before a black woman would submit to a black man collectively. Collectively, black
Nah,
men
this is going
are
to turn into a
wait a
3-hour
minute.
situation.
Wait
now.
a minute. Black men are intimidated by black women. I've experienced it. I see it. Black men are intimidated by black women. That's why they have stamped them masculine.
Right.
Okay.
And
That's
is that
why they
like it's
stamped
kind of
them
like the Kevin
masculine.
Hart? Is like the Kevin Hart story where he's talking about his dad like not getting past like the stoop of the porch, Is that what you're referring to? But like, hey, I have to jet because
I've
I
seen
have
it.
another stream I gotta be on here in
Okay.
like 15 minutes. But I
Great
do
to
want
see
to
you,
point
Glenn.
out like this is like, from what I've seen in the black manosphere, and I don't have a lot of information. I'm very, I really didn't. I think it was Haran actually brought it up to me about the black manosphere about 9 months ago that I really actually was aware that there was such a thing called the black manosphere. What I have seen in this situation, like the black manosphere, it is more PUA, pickup artistry, game thing. It's not really about like inner game healing. Because you got MLD and guys like him, like Paul from Apex, who I produce his Tuesday show, like they focus on inner game problems. Like, why are you picking these women? why are you going after, why are you attracted to women with these type of behaviors if it always ends up being a bad thing for you? What are you needing to work on with yourself before you get, and maybe that's not what's, so when I see like the manosphere or the red pill space, like there is more levels to it other than pickup artistry. And actually really pickup artistry in, the broader spectrum is not really looked at as a positive thing. It's given credit to getting information, when it comes to intersexual dynamics and how women react to certain behaviors or types of guys. It's good for a scientific analysis aspect, but when it comes down to it, like nobody really takes pickup artistry in the sense of like, I'm going to adopt this model and this is going to help me get with women. Like it doesn't teach you how to maintain and establish a long-term relationship, or how to go past the delay, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, if that's all the Black manosphere is focusing on is getting laid, well then you're never really addressing the problem. It's like, yeah, you're getting people in your bed, but you're not fixing why they never stay in your bed, right? Like if that's the approach. I mean, and that's just from my very minimal, small view and understanding of what I've seen. So I don't have the best, perspective or view of it. So I'm just saying from what I've witnessed from certain, content creators, that's what I saw. And I was like, well, there's missing, there's still some pieces maybe that they could utilize, that they could gain from the rest of the manosphere. And that's
Fair
just my
enough.
opinion, but again, I'm not someone to speak facts or, any definitive statement on that space.
Fair,
Well, they
fair
got
enough. That's your observation. Really quickly, last super chat of the night. Thank you, Don Levon. Don Levon says the Black manosphere seems like the NFL. They need coaches, and a white woman is the owner. That's another thing. In needing a Black manosphere, you have a white woman leading it anyway. Bye, Glenn. Thank you so much.
See you, Glenn.
Huds, I know you're out too. Thank you so much for all your wisdom. Please let people know where they can find you and your coaching, sir.
Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead and find me at the Hudsman on Instagram. Easiest way to connect with me. You can go ahead and shoot me a DM, or you can just click the link in the bio to go ahead and schedule a call. We can do one of those 30-minute free consults. And I would love to hear from you guys. I love talking about this stuff. I love helping people. It's fantastic. But thank you so much, Jen. As always, whole panel. Have a good one.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
All right, guys. See, I got to start the race earlier.
I was just about to say, once you said that shit, I was like, this is about to go into 3 fucking hours now.
Right, I was
You
like,
over there,
what?
you over there now. We about to do another fucking hour.
Go ahead, no saying.
I know. I hate that. I mean, I get it. We got a lot of people on the panel and long-winded and stuff like that. Some of the guys, but like I wanted when they were on there because obviously Haran is the man to answer why there's a Black manosphere, but I'm like, it's such an easy answer. He sounds like, why do we have American History Month? Why do we have Black History Month?
Well, yeah, that was a very white question.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like
It wasn't a very white question.
Why don't we just have a American manosphere? Because we're different. We're all different.
Ironically, Glenn, if you're watching right now, you ask some very white questions for a guy who grew up around a lot of Black people. You know what I mean? It's
No, that was actually wasn't Huds. Wasn't it Huds that asked that?
Was Huds or was it Glenn?
It was us.
It was Huds.
Okay, my apologies.
It was Huds.
Yeah, it was us with that one.
But what's interesting, before we go, I had a conversation earlier with someone, and they asked me the same thing, except they were Latin. They was like, "Isn't the manosphere all encompassing? Isn't that like they are?" And then we got into the conversation whether they were right wing or left wing, and what's the divide. So it's true. It's like, is this about men? Or, you know what I mean? Not in general, like, are Black men that different from white men? Are there issues with women that different? Yeah, probably so. Because again, no Saint, you were saying?
I was saying that earlier, I missed the time and I forgot what I was going to say, but I was going to say, and this is kind of going back, but like another thing that men have, the reason men don't know how to stay in their lane is because, and this is no fault, I'm not blaming women, but women are very good actresses. All right, they're very good actors, and so you go to a strip club, they act like they're really into you, and it's believable. Or maybe you want to believe. You go to a bar, that hot little girl, that cute little girl might want a free drink, so she's gonna treat you a little different, you know. And then of course with you talk to people giving them money or whatever, and you see people giving up a lot of money because they think this girl really likes them, when all she really wants is the money that he keeps on, you know, hitting the button to give her the little coins or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So like men are kind of like lost because they're not, the lane is kind of blurred, you know. It's almost like they've been drinking. They don't know which lane to stay in. They're drunk.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this is what we're dealing with, right? This is all we're dealing with. We're dealing with a bunch of traumatized trauma coaches, right? And all they're doing is monetizing their own trauma and their own pain because they know that so many people can relate to it, right? So many people, a lot more people can relate to problems more than solutions, right? So it's way easier to monetize a problem than monetizing a solution, okay? So that's all they're doing. And so all they're doing is just rehashing and recycling trauma throughout, you know, and that's attracting people, and it's monetized. So now they're being incentivized. Their trauma's being incentivized. Their trauma's being monetized, right? Then the people who are listening, they're feeling validated. Their trauma's being validated. Everyone's just trauma bonding all over the internet, right? That's what's going on. And I'm gonna go back to my original statement, and this is my last thing I have to say. A dating coach is not what the hell they need. They need to figure out who they are, work on themselves, and the whole dating thing will work itself out, right? Because in doing that, you might even figure out and get the epiphany like, oh shit, I don't even need to date. What am I thinking about? Because a lot of times the whole dating thing is to distract from looking at yourself in the first place. That's why a lot of us keep going from partner to partner to partner to partner to partner to partner. Don't even take a break.
Monkey barring. That's what I call it.
Because it distracts you from looking at yourself.
Like, who's next? Who's next?
That's who's gonna fix me? Who's gonna make me feel good? Who's gonna, you know, it's just taking hostages. Figure out who the fuck you are first. Leave the dating coaches alone, right? And get with self, and then let everything else will take care of itself. I promise you. So that's
and leave the dating alone. Like I was saying that to someone earlier. It's like I don't like dating people who are already dating other people because they're monkey barring. It's like you didn't even give your dick a break from that situation, and you go monkey bar into getting to know me. I'm like, no, you still have her pussy on your breath. I want nothing to do with you. Right. And I'm like, coming from someone who hasn't dated in so long, it's just not attractive. It's not appealing to me. Like, you know, even in the wild, like the pheromones you're putting off, that you got pussy on your breath, dude. What the fuck? Like, no, get the fuck away from me. So it's so important what you said, Lily. I want to go back to something No Saint said, because you ain't getting away with that, No Saint.
I just want to say one thing though. I'm in
the middle of talking, and you're like,
I want to support him.
Can I say something before you support him?
Before you drag him.
Okay, no, I'm not gonna drag him. I'm just gonna say that it's simply one word: hypergamy. Okay, women are attracted to money, and a man that's using money looks like a good provider, aka hypergamy. Okay, so it's not about being a good actress. Now, if you're an asshole in a titty bar and you really think that woman is acting, she's doing her job. Fair exchange ain't no robbery. Her job is to act like she likes you with her titties and take the dollar with her titties, and your job is to give her money.
Everyone's happy.
But what I'm saying though, what's there is a. I mean, women have superpowers. It really is true. They do.
It's very true.
And what I'm saying, they're good actresses is like, even just you don't even have to be getting necessarily like I said, you could be at a bar and girls are nice, I think, in general, but they really they can make you believe if they're doing something that's kind of, you know, they know, oh, I'm gonna get this guy. He's gonna, you know, I'm gonna get him buy drinks all night. I'm not gonna give him my number.
No.
They're really good, convincing, and maybe the guy's just simple and doesn't know.
Saying every woman is great at three things: telling you what you want to hear, spending your money, and wasting your goddamn time. Okay. Every
I
woman
know,
is
I know you.
masterful.
I know you not talking about
That's right.
wasting time. I know you not. The
With that being
kings.
said, I
The,
gotta
yeah,
run. I got
yeah.
some things to
Go
do.
ahead and run. Go ahead and run.
I got some things
I
to
know.
How you
do.
gonna do us
I got
He
some things to
said
do.
wasting time. The kings of wasting time are fucking men. Let me say, the men who come tell you all kinds of shit just to get laid.
right.
All kinds of shit. Promise you the moon, the star, and the earth just to get in your panties. Y'all trying to get cut at the last hour. What is happening? But it goes to what came first, the chicken or the egg. Because men lead with money because they want the woman to be interested in them. So what came first? The woman acting like she likes you, or you pulling out your dollars and acting like a good provider?
I mean, look, I see it like this. This is me personally. When I see a beautiful woman, my male biology kicks in. Okay,
As it
it does.
should.
It does.
As it
My
should.
male biology kicks in. I'm like, hey, beautiful, how you doing? You know what I mean? What you drinking? What's your thing? You know what I mean? I like spending money on pretty girls. I do. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like everybody having a nice time. If it leads to something else, great, wonderful. I like doing the dance because sometimes it's just about the dance. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Sometimes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Sometimes.
I
But
like
the
the
point
money
here I'm
dance.
making, the point that I'm making is that I get it. You know what I mean? It's a lovely situation when you spend some time with a beautiful woman and so on. However, you know what I mean, we all understand it is what it is. She's gonna tell you what you want to hear. She's gonna do whatever. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Women know how to, as a matter of fact, I believe there was a study that most women knew how to make during sex. Most women knew how to make their men come on contact based on what they said to them, and they know exactly what to say and how to say it when they fucking them. There was a study. Okay,
That was my. I lost my
so
virginity.
this is the truth, ladies. You know exactly what to say based on a certain dude that you fucking. You know what he responds to and how to hurry it up. You know what I mean?
Hurry it up.
You know what I mean?
Gotta send that
Okay.
email.
Okay. Here we go.
Don Levon says, as we close, she can make you believe anything. You allowed yourself to believe in what she is saying. I don't think that's gender specific. Women let motherfuckers lie to them, you know what I mean, if they want to keep that relationship, and men let women lie to them if they want to hit. Like I that's what we do. Sometimes we're like, I know this motherfucker ain't shit, but fuck
Right.
it, I love them. So
Look, listen. Men do the same thing. Men do the same thing. Come on, guys. Let's be real. Come on, man. There's been plenty of times in my life where, you know what I mean, I've woken up in the middle of the night. I looked to the side of me and I said, this broad ain't shit. But tomorrow morning I'm gonna take her out. We gonna have a fucking good time. Because at the end of the day, don't nobody understand her like me.
yeah.
She's fucked up. But guess what? I'm fucked up. So you know what I mean?
Right.
But you know what I mean? You deal with each other and so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So men do it too. We put up with women for love. A lot of motherfuckers won't admit it.
But see, I
So
don't
we
have
do
no
a lot
problem
of
with
love.
that though. I don't have no problem with that as long as you're not blaming the other person. Like
Nah.
if you're choosing to stay with someone that's fucked up, you're like, hey, I like the toxic shit. Sue
Oh,
me.
like no saint just tried to do. Talk about we good actresses. Don't be coming and talk about we good actresses. Okay,
You ain't
I'm not going
acting.
to 7-Eleven, Don. That's where I draw the line. Okay, no coffee dates, no fucking 7-Eleven. I don't even eat hot dogs. They gross. Okay, they're gross. Matter of fact, no saint sent me a fucking hot dog. I was like, dude, I don't fucking eat hot dogs.
You don't eat hot dogs, Jen?
They're gross. Okay, they're mystery.
You from the Bronx? You ain't ever been like around Coney Island? Come on, son. You
Listen,
never.
They are mystery meat stuffed in a condom. I don't want it. It's gross. Sausages and hot dogs are fucking gross. It is mystery meat stuffed into a rubber and
So you
put.
never had a Nathan's? You never had a Nathan's?
I did when I was young. I did the dirty water dogs. That's what we call them in New
Yeah,
York.
but cool. That's what we called them.
Right, the
Yeah.
dirty water dogs. But
Oh, yeah.
no, I don't. I don't like
Hey,
it.
you don't fuck with 7-Elevens either?
No,
You don't like even go get a Gatorade or something like.
No, I love a slushy. I go get me a
Okay,
slushy.
okay, there you go. Like shit. Like,
And they have
come on,
like
man.
free slushy day. You guys know that, right? At the 7-Eleven, the free slushy day.
Uh-uh.
I
think it's
remember, I remember I was dating a woman one time before. We were talking, and I realized just how culturally different we were, even though she was a black woman. And I was like, we talk about the bodega. I was talking about the bodega and shit, you know what I mean? And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, the bodega. She's like, and I explained it to her. And she's like, I've never been to one of those. Like what?
Oh,
There's a
you got to
cat.
go.
There's
Right.
there's a cat on bread. There's a cat. I'm like, yeah, there's a cat on bread.
The
She's
cat
like,
has
why
got to
is
be
it-
on the produce.
Seems like, why is there a cat in the bodega? Because if there's not, there's going to be rats on the goddamn bread.
Right.
You
They
know what I
live
mean? You know what I
there. They live
Yeah,
there.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Guard. There's
She
a
just
guard.
couldn't-
The rat guard.
She just couldn't connect it. And I was like, yeah, this ain't.
Yeah, she got to go.
This
This is
ain't.
gonna be it. This is not gonna. This is not gonna end well.
Nah, this ain't it. This
She
ain't
doesn't understand why cats belong on breads and bodegas.
it. Oh, and,
I don't need. I don't.
and the real deal breaker was when
Why
I
they
was talking about
belong on
pizza.
bread.
Well, the real deal breaker was when I was talking about pizza. And she was like, no, pizza in New York. She was like, no, I've eaten Italian food in Italy. I was like, this was right.
No.
Girl,
that's
bye.
not-
Girl, bye.
Right, right. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed just listening. I'm annoyed just listening.
Gotta go, man.
I'm annoyed.
See, that's the thing, right? I love nice shit like the next person.
Right.
Yeah, of
But to the
course.
point where you just are so unrelatable and like
Right.
you just have it like girl bye. Girl bye.
Like I can't. I'm thinking to myself, like I can't bring you around none of my female friends.
No.
They're gonna look at you. They're gonna be like,
Oh, my family will eat her up.
Right.
"I'm gonna fuck around, want to fight you."
Right.
Just over you.
Right. I'm like, we'd be looking at her on like, really? This what
Like,
we
don't-
doing?
Like, don't bring that bitch around here again.
No.
What?
will not fare well around her family.
If she don't know who Ak is, she got to go. She
Yeah,
got to
that's
go.
when I realized, like, yeah, we ain't gonna work out, baby.
Right. If she don't know Ak got the AK behind that cash
I mean,
register,
all that.
she got
Yo,
to go.
I tell y'all a funny story. I tell y'all a real funny story. So there was an issue with Ak and them around the way back in the day. You know what I mean? Because some brothers they tried to play him. You know what I mean? They thought they were soft, blah blah blah, in the bodega, whatever. And Ak and them pulled one of my boys to the side, and he was like, "Yo, let me show you something real quick." And he was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He was like, "Yeah, tell your friend that, you know what I mean, he's gonna have to do what he needs to do, you know what I mean, in order to pay his tab, but it's gonna be an issue." He was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah." And he opened the door. He said, "Wall to wall." He said, "Wall to wall." All he saw was them things. He closed the door and he said, he went right back to one of my peoples, and he was right up in that store working off that money.
Right.
That's
Like-
why they get all the respect in the world. Like you walk in the
Exactly.
bodega and on the freaking the plexiglass, the bulletproof glass, they got pictures of them back in Afghanistan
Yeah,
and in Iraq and Iran with the
Oh,
little
yeah.
kids holding the AKs.
Oh, yeah,
Like you
with the
don't
little
fuck with
kids.
Ak. Yes, you don't fuck with
like
Ak.
they real.
You can't
we
go
don't
up to.
mess with Ak, baby.
Nah,
Not
that-
at all.
That's the fams. Those are the fams. They get it. All right, guys. So let's close out. No, say you got any parting words before we go, darling?
No. What's going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Thursday. I don't have anything for tomorrow thus far.
Freaky Friday Eve.
Freaky Friday Eve.
Yes,
I don't
it
got
is.
anything but
Well,
check my community tab. Por favor.
you know, I was looking and I just thought it was gonna pass me by. There's at the Sanger Theater downtown in New Orleans. There's a
Mhm.
musical, and I love the movie. So believe it or not,
You going to see Baps?
No.
On
I
stage?
happen to be looking on. I get emails for veterans. They give away free tickets to things sometimes, and there's a 1 o'clock. There's a 1 o'clock show tomorrow. You can only get one ticket, but Erica's work and my kids are at school. Moulin Rouge. I'm going to see it.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I just want to say one thing. I
Nice.
just want to say one thing. It's about the passport, bro.
Haran, if you get
I
into
just
a
want to say
15
that.
minute fucking story.
No. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. One thing about the passport bros that I noticed was kind of funny. They you know what I mean? They're always selling the kind of women that you can actually meet. If you go overseas and so on, you see them. There's models. They're incredible. I've yet to see any one of these brothers with any one of them chicks lately.
I be wondering that too. I'm like,
they look like they be ending up with a broad that they look like they could have got in New Jersey. I just wanted to say that real quick.
That's what
You know what I
I
mean?
keep wondering.
Mm-hmm.
They
For
end
sure,
up
for
with
sure.
just like, whatever. Child.
But like I said, corny here, corny anywhere. Corny here, corny anywhere. No, say enjoy that tomorrow. Please tell us about it when you come back. Send us some pictures and stuff. And I don't know what I'm doing yet tomorrow, but again, follow the social media On the Block with Jen everywhere. I usually post what I'm going to talk about, but of course it's going to be something good. This week was freaking on and popping. I appreciate you all so much. Any parting words before we get out of here?
I'm good.
All right, this was good tonight. Nobody got cut, right? Nobody got
Lots
cut.
of fun.
Haran and No Saint were gunning for it though. They were gunning for it.
We were pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, you're pushing it. I was like, it's been a while. It's been a while since I cut somebody. All right, guys. Good night. Love you all.
Class dismissed.
All right, guys, and we're out of here. If you're still here for any reason at all, hit that like and subscribe for Mama. I am On the Block with Jen on all social media platforms, On the Block with Jen at Gmail as well. Don't forget, April 15th, we're doing a block talent battle. April 15th, we're doing a block talent battle. If you have a talent, come on up here, show us. You get 2 minutes with us, and the winner gets $100. You heard that correctly. $100 cash for 2 minutes of your talent. April 15th. Come on up On the Block with Jen. Of course, you have to cam up. Show us your talent. Singer, dancer, actor. If you have a monologue, if you could tie a cherry stem with your tongue, whatever your talent is, you play the drums, piano, the guitar, the bongos, okay? Come on up April 15th, 8 p.m. sharp. Send me your picture and what your talent is to On the Block with Jen at Gmail. We are only taking 10 people. 10 personas nada más. 10 people only, okay? So get in there and get in there quick. On the Block with Jen at Gmail. Send me your picture. Send me your talent. Then show up April 15th, 8 p.m. sharp. You could come on up. Lily and I will be judging and critiquing. We'll have a guest judge, but we don't get the final say. People have to vote for you. And if you get the most votes, you get $100 cash for sharing your talent with us for 2 minutes. Tell a friend if it's not you and you want a friend to come up here and show us their talent and you're going to vote for them. Tell a friend April 15th. Check out my social media. I'm going to be posting about it On the Block with Jen at Gmail, On the Block with Jen, Instagram, Facebook, what have you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. And we will see you mañana. Good night. Thank you for holding me down, chat.